The Street Files. A complete mystery short story every Wednesday. File 6. A Conspiracy to Murder. The leaves on Hampstead Heath are starting to turn from green to gold as Olivia Street stands looking over London from the top of the highest point on the heath, called Parliament Hill. On this Sunday, she and her daughter Poppy had decided to have lunch in the Spaniards Inn on the north side of the grassland, then afterwards walk out to see London from one of the best places to get a view of the city's broad landscape. As they stand and look at the streets and buildings, Olivia can feel her phone rumble in her pocket, and she pulls it out. "Sorry, can I get this?" she says to Poppy. "Hello, Richard?"
"Olivia, can you help me?"
says a voice.
"Zoe's disappeared."
"What do you mean, disappeared?"
"Just that,"
he says.
"Gone. Wasn't here when I got back on Friday. No note, and she won't answer her phone."
"Have you tried friends, family?"
"Yeah, nothing. No one's seen her,"
he says.
"I thought, if you're not busy, you could come over, and we can try and sort this out together, like the old days."
Poppy and I are on Hampstead Heath. We'll go back to the car and drive over. She ends the call and turns to her daughter. "You know the Fullers, Poppy. Richard and Zoe."
"Yeah, I like them,"
says the girl. "She's gone missing. I said we'd go and talk to him. See if we can help."
"Yeah, sure, Mum."
They turn back to collect Olivia's car.
"How long have you known them, Mum?"
"Oh, years. Since you were small. Richard's a barrister, and I did my pupillage under him at Cooper Strutt Markham. He still works there."
"What's pupillage?"
"It's just what they call workplace training in the legal world."
"You were trained to be a barrister, weren't you?"
she says.
"Why did you give that up?"
"It didn't talk to my soul, Poppy. Corporate law and then investigation seemed more me. Richard was very good. He told me I should follow my dreams, whatever I had." Cloudsley Road in Islington is lined with 3-storey townhouses that have regular windows running along the length of the terrace. Built at a time when the area was considered very down market, now the residents of these homes are the super wealthy. Olivia parks her red MG Midget outside the house, and they stand on the front doorstep after she has knocked. When he opens the door, Richard seems older suddenly, she thinks. His dark hair has flecks of grey, which she hadn't noticed before. They go inside and he pushes pods into a coffee machine. Then they sit on a semicircular window seat at the far end of the lounge. "Tell us what happened," she says. He takes a breath out.
"I got home at 6 on Friday. That's pretty much the usual time I get in if I'm not going out to a dinner or drink somewhere."
"And when did you see her last?"
"Friday morning, just like normal. I left about 8. I walked to the Angel Tube from here."
"Was she working at home on Friday?"
"No, she lost her job 3 weeks ago."
His blue eyes look doleful. "How has she handled that?" says Olivia.
"You know her. Angry at first. Then suddenly, overnight, switches into positive about the future and planning a new phase of her life."
"And she's been looking for a new job?"
"Not really. She's got these new friends in the gym. She tends to hang around with them." "Can I ask a question?"
says Poppy. The others look at her and Richard nods.
"You don't like her new gym friends?"
She smiles in case the question is too personal.
"I think they're a bad influence."
"How? Has she changed her behaviour?"
"She's out more, definitely, which is why I only started getting concerned today. I thought she might have gone off on some crazy trip or something."
"Forgive this question, Richard," says Olivia. "Are you two having a bad time recently?"
"I've been working long hours, you know how it is, Olivia, in chambers. You get a big case and you have to burn the midnight oil."
"Did you call these new gym friends of hers to see if she's with them?"
"I haven't got their numbers,"
he says. Right. Richard, you stay here, in case she comes back. Poppy and I will go to the gym and see if we can find out anything.
It's only a 10-minute walk to the gym on Bromfield Street. The man on reception is in his 20s, with short dark hair and large muscles under his hoodie.
Hi, says Olivia. We're thinking of joining. Can we have a tour?
Only on weekends, I'm afraid. There's only me on shift on Sundays. Can we just have a quick look around?
Says Poppy, smiling at him.
We won't steal anything.
There's a moment when he considers the idea.
All right, 5 minutes there. What's your name?
Ty. He pushes the button under the desk to let them in, and they go through. Olivia looks at her daughter and smiles.
What, Mum? I was getting us in here.
I didn't say anything. We'll split up, find people and talk to them. Pretend Zoe recommended it. See if they know her. Poppy turns away and goes through a door to a corridor, and there's a woman in yoga gear, reading a notice on the wall. She has hazel eyes that have a permanent smile.
Hi,
says Poppy.
What's it like here? I might join. My friend suggested it. Yeah, good facilities. Zoe, she's called. Zoe Fuller. Oh, yeah, I know her. I was looking for her. Have you seen her about? Not today. We were out yesterday, though. She's not answering her phone,
says Poppy.
She's probably with her new bloke.
It takes all of Poppy's effort not to react too much.
Oh, yeah, she was talking about him the other day. He lives around here, doesn't he? Down in Clerkenwell. Middleton Square,
says the woman.
Oh, yeah, of course, nice place,
says Poppy. There's an uncomfortable tension in the air, and Poppy feels that this witness isn't going to give her any more evidence.
What's your name?
She says.
Jennifer. Good to chat, Jennifer. Maybe we'll see each other around here after I join.
Poppy hurries back out through the maze of rooms in the gym. She finds her mother talking to a woman serving behind the juice bar.
Mum, come on.
Poppy beckons Olivia to follow, and they move out of earshot of anyone else.
She's having an affair, Mum.
Olivia opens her eyes. Ah, how do you know that?
I met this girl,
says Poppy.
I know where the bloke lives too. It's not far. The girl reckoned that Zoe could be there now.
Let's go then. They walk out into Upper Street, down past the tube station, across the Pentonville Road, and on into the gentrified streets of Clerkenwell. There's little noise around them when the mother and daughter arrive at the grand 4-story residences that line Middleton Square.
We don't know which number it is,
says Poppy. Well, this is a long shot. Let me try something. I've got Zoe's mobile number on my phone. She chooses a stored contact and presses the call button.
Your phone's loud, Mum,
says Poppy.
I can hear it ringing from here.
That's not my phone. That's Zoe's phone. It's ringing out. Where's that coming from? Poppy listens again.
Over there, Mum. The house in the corner.
They walk in the direction of the ringtone.
It's down there, on the steps.
Every house in the square has railings that mark the boundary of the property. On most houses, this is a solid barricade, but on this house, there's a gate in the railings, with steps that lead down to the basement. Poppy pushes the gate open, then leans over and picks something up from the stairs. The phone is still ringing in her hand, and the name Olivia is displayed on the screen.
So she was here.
Those steps lead to what used to be the kitchens when these houses had staff to run them, says Olivia. It could be a self-contained apartment now.
What do we do?
There's a panel of doorbells up there next to the main front door. I think we should go and press them and see if we get any answers. Olivia leads them up the steps to the front door. There are now 5 flats in the building. The first 2 random bell choices don't answer Olivia's call. When she pushes the bell to flat 3, a woman's voice comes on the speaker grill. "Is Zoe in?" The woman is angry immediately. "She's not here." Before Olivia can say any more, the connection cuts off with a noisy sizzle. Then she presses flat 4's bell. "Is Zoe in?" "Number 5 she is. This is flat 4. "Have you seen her today?" says Olivia quickly to keep her talking. "Who are you?" "I'm a friend of hers. I couldn't get in touch with her. I was getting worried." "I haven't seen her today," says the woman. "Could I come in for a quick chat?" says Olivia. There's a pause and they think the woman has switched off the connection. Then the door open buzzer sounds, and they push inside. A woman in her 40s is standing at the back of the hallway, near to one of the flat front doors as they enter. She is smartly dressed in a dark blue suit and white shirt. "This is flat 4, she says. "They numbered the flats from top to bottom instead of the usual bottom to top." They walk up to her. "The basement is flat 5, then?" "Yes." "Did you see Zoe yesterday?" says Olivia. "Yes, about 7 in the evening, I suppose. She was with Martin, as usual." "Do they live there together?" "No, he's lived here for a couple of years. She's only been round for a year, maybe." "What does Martin do?" says Olivia. "Lawyer." The woman makes it sound as though the answer is obvious. "We found her phone on the steps leading down to the basement." "She must have dropped it," says the woman. "Did you hear anything else after 7? Or did you see them again?" "He went out late to get wine, I think." "And nothing today?" "How long have you known her?" says the woman. "Oh, yes, since Poppy here was 5. We met at a legal chambers in London. She was a journalist. She still is." "She told me that," says the woman. "I tell you what, I've got a latchkey here for that flat. Martin asked me to keep a spare in case he locked himself out." She fishes about in her handbag. "Here it is." She holds out the key and Olivia takes it. They drop down the steps to the basement, and Olivia pushes the key into the lock. It sticks slightly before she can turn it. Poppy goes in first and flicks the light switch, but nothing happens. "Phone torches," she says, and pulls out her mobile before bright white light floods the room in front of her. Olivia follows suit, and they tread cautiously through the flat. The place is beautifully decorated, with modern sleek furniture and expensive wall art. After the kitchen, there's a lounge. After that, a hallway with 3 doors off it, all of which are closed. Poppy opens the first one, and it's a bathroom of black marble and a double-sized shower. The second door has a bedroom, with a king-size bed and fitted wardrobes. Poppy opens the third door, and yelps when she sees a man asleep on the bed. "Mum, he's here," she whispers, shutting the door quickly again. They stand in the darkness, waiting for sounds of Martin waking. But there's nothing. Olivia puts her finger to her lips, and her hand curls around the door handle. She pushes it open and shines her phone light on the man. He hasn't moved. She tiptoes towards him, and Poppy watches nervously from the half-open door. Olivia leans over very slowly and listens for breath sounds. There's nothing. She cautiously moves her hand to the man's neck. There's no pulse. "Poppy? He's dead." 2 police officers arrive 15 minutes after Olivia has dialed 999. The man is short in stature and has deep blue eyes, with a mass of badly cut brown hair. The woman is in her 20s, with designer glasses and blonde hair in a low ponytail. "Sergeant Cross, madam," he says, as he shakes Olivia's hand. "We've got a big incident up at Camden this afternoon, so all the inspectors are on that. You've got me and Tracy, Officer Dundridge." Dundridge finds the electrical fuse box in a cupboard. "It's all been turned off at the main, Sarge." When she flicks the switch, the lights all come on in every room. Sergeant Cross makes a careful examination of the body. "Call forensics, Tracy." He pulls blue gloves from his tunic, before tentatively checking the man's pockets. "You haven't touched anything, madam?" "I put my fingers on his neck, Sergeant, that's all." He indicates to Olivia and Poppy to sit down on the sofa. "Why were you here, madam?" "I'm a lawyer, Sergeant. We're looking for a woman called Zoe Fuller. She is, apparently, the girlfriend of a man called Martin, who lives in this apartment, who may well be that corpse." She nods across to the bedroom door. "And why are you looking for her?" "Her husband asked us to find her." "So, the boyfriend gets murdered by the husband. A ménage à trois, isn't it?" Olivia narrows her eyes. "No, that's something different," she says. "Did you find any ID on the body?" "I can't tell you that," he says. "I'd like to continue our search for Mrs. Fuller, if that's possible, Sergeant. It may help your investigation. We can give you all of our details before we go." The policeman agrees, and they dictate their names, addresses and phone numbers to Constable Dundridge, with a promise to call in to Holborn Police Station in the morning to give their official statements. Olivia and Poppy climb back up the steps to street level, just as a police van pulls up at the curb, and two forensics officers get out and start to unload their equipment. As the women walk away, Olivia looks back and can see someone looking out of a second-floor window. When the person sees her looking, they quickly step back and pull the curtains across the glass. By the time they get back to Cloudsley Road, it's started to rain, but they get inside before a downpour breaks. Richard has opened a bottle of wine and drunk most of it. "That won't help, Richard." Olivia puts her hand on his. "We found something," she says. "I'm afraid it won't be pleasant."
"Go on."
"Zoe may have another relationship." Olivia's expecting the man to be distraught, or at least upset, but he barely reacts.
"We've both had other partners at various times during our marriage."
"I didn't realize," she says. "Are you aware if she has anyone currently?"
"She told me she stopped all that."
"Did something happen then?"
"One of the chaps she slept with was married. His wife appeared at her work and was shouting all sorts of unpleasant things. I'm sure you can imagine."
He flicks his gaze to Poppy momentarily. "Well, there's more, I'm afraid. A man with whom she may be associated has been found dead." Richard pulls his eyebrows together.
"How do you know?"
"We found him."
"How on earth did you do that?"
"Well, we're detectives," says Olivia, looking at her daughter.
"I don't know anything about that,"
he says. The conversation is brought to a halt by heavy banging on the front door. Richard unlatches the door and pulls it open.
"Zoe!"
The rain is heavy now, and Zoe's clothing and hair are soaked through. She walks into the hallway, rips off her coat, and kicks off her shoes.
"Where have you been?"
he says. She sighs and shakes her head. "A string of bloody fortunate events. I went to that drinks thing I told you about on Friday."
"No, you didn't."
"What? I messaged you."
"No, you didn't."
"I did. It'll be on my phone, but I lost the bloody thing." Olivia and Poppy step into the hallway. "We found it." "What are you doing here, Olivia?" "Richard called us, because you'd gone missing." Zoe looks at him. "We handed your phone in to the police," says Olivia. "You could have just brought it here with you." "We had to, because of the investigation."
"What investigation?"
We found a body.
But what's that got to do with my phone?
It was on the steps, leading to the flat where the body was found. Zoe looks incredulous.
Where was this?
Middleton Square.
Where's that?
What do you mean, where's that? Says Olivia.
I've never heard of it.
Clerkenwell.
I don't understand,
says Zoe. Olivia pauses for a moment. Can we talk for a minute, Zoe? Just you and I.
Poppy and I will go and make some coffee,
says Richard. The women go into the lounge and sit on the sofa, next to each other. I'm going to ask you a question, Zoe. Your answer will remain confidential between us, okay? Zoe nods very slightly, looking trepidatious. I know that you've been unfaithful over the years. Richard confirmed it. Zoe looks glum. Are you currently in a relationship with anyone apart from your husband?
No, I decided I wouldn't do that after I shagged a bloke at work and his wife found out.
She has a pained look on her face now. Another question. Do you know a man called Martin something? Zoe shakes her head. He's in his 40s, dark hair, handsome.
Have you got a picture?
No, I haven't.
Sorry, then. I don't know any Martins.
There's something else. You go to the gym on Bromfield Street.
Yeah.
Your friend Jennifer told us about Martin being your boyfriend.
I don't know anyone called Jennifer either.
Richard said you have a new group of gym friends who he doesn't like.
That's true.
You lost your job.
That's true too, but they're connected. The gym friends are not just members of the gym, they're the owners. I fancy to change a career. They own 7 gyms across London and they're looking for an operations director. I've been schmoozing them to try and get the job.
And you're not having an affair? Says Olivia.
I'm over all that. It was fun, but I think I've learned everything I'm going to from sleeping with other men.
Richard and Poppy appear with the coffees, and Olivia asks Poppy to have a quick chat back out in the hallway. The woman in the gym was called Jennifer. Is that right?
Yeah,
says Poppy. Zoe just told me she doesn't know anyone called Jennifer.
I can call the gym to get Jennifer's surname, maybe. Might jog her memory,
says Poppy. She takes her phone from her back pocket and finds the number for the gym.
Ty, hi,
she says.
Can you help me? My friend Jennifer is meeting me in the gym, but looking at this rain, I'm wondering if she's there yet. Can you see if she's come in through the gate on your computer system?
She waits while the receptionist checks and opens her eyes wider, then listens to his reply.
Okay, thanks anyway.
Olivia is expectant. What did the lovely Ty say?
Jennifer's not in the gym,
says Poppy.
But there's a good reason for that. There's no member of the gym called Jennifer, or any name like that.
The girl you spoke to definitely said that was her name. Maybe she didn't want to tell you her real name. We had 2 witnesses anyway. The woman in flat 4 confirmed they're in a relationship. The doorbell rings as they're talking, but Richard nor Zoe come out to answer it, so Olivia pulls the door open. On the doorstep is the woman from flat 4. As soon as she sees Olivia and Poppy, she turns and runs as the rain hammers down onto the expensive pavements of Islington. Within less than a minute, the woman has disappeared into a wall of water. Something very odd is going on, Poppy. First, Jennifer doesn't exist. Now the woman from flat 4 calls here, presumably to see Zoe, and she runs off.
Someone's lying, Mum.
Yes, you're right, says Olivia. We need to go back to see the flat again. Something doesn't add up. Olivia calls Sergeant Cross. Sergeant, Olivia Street, I have an update on Mrs. Fuller.
Oh, yes. What's that then?
He says. She's turned up here at home. She's with her husband."
"Good,"
says Cross.
"We need DNA samples from both of them as part of the routine forensics. I'll send one of the forensics people over."
"I'd like to talk to you about something else too, but face to face," she says. "Are you still at the crime scene?"
"I am."
Olivia tells Richard and Zoe that they're going, as Zoe has been found and they're no longer needed. The two women drop into the MG Midget. Middleton Square is still quiet as a mouse when they arrive. "Before we meet the sergeant," says Olivia, "let's see if the disappearing woman is back home in flat 4. They walk up the steps to the main front door, where they stood earlier today, and Poppy turns to press the button for flat 4.
"Oh, look, Mum,"
she says.
"The numbers are reversed. You know that woman said the flats were numbered wrongly, and flat 1 is the top, and flat 5 is the basement."
"Yes." Poppy points at the steel panel of 5 doorbells set into the side of the portico.
"Well, look, flat 5 is in the roof now, and the basement is flat 1.
"Let's push some bells again, see if we get anything different this time." The girl tries the bell pushes, but they only get the same angry woman in flat 3. No one else answers, so they walk down to the basement and sit opposite Sergeant Cross at the kitchen table. "Can I ask a question?" says Olivia.
"Go on."
"Have you interviewed the people in the other flats above us here?"
"Dundridge has been round."
"Anything interesting?"
"Not really,"
says Cross.
"The woman in flat 3 is very difficult, complaining about police resources and everything else she can think of. The man who lives in flat 5 at the top is in the Maldives for a fortnight. Very nice if your salary runs to that, of course."
He frowns. "And we're in flat 1 here," says Olivia. "So what about flats 2 and flat 4?
"They're both empty,"
says Cross.
"Have been for over a year. Asking too much for the rents, probably."
"We do have a puzzle then, Sergeant. In our statements that we're going to give tomorrow, Poppy and I are going to say that we spoke to a woman who answered the bell to flat 4. She told us that she'd seen Martin, whatever his name is, who lives here, with our Mrs. Zoe Fuller. But now you tell us that flat 4 or flat 2, whichever it was, has no one living there." She pauses, then adds, "The second twist is that the woman we spoke to turned up at the Fuller's house tonight, an hour ago, then ran when she saw me and Poppy." Cross writes a note in his notebook on the table. "I think we can help your investigation, Sergeant, but I wonder if you can share any more about the victim." Cross looks at her and pushes his lips out, while he considers the advantages and risks of sharing any information.
"All right,"
he says quietly.
"On the basis that you tell me everything that you know that relates to this case."
She nods. There's a laptop on the kitchen table near him, and he turns to it and reads from the screen.
"Martin Bishop, born on the 22nd of May in Lincoln. Graduated from Bristol University 28 years ago. Joined a law firm in London and became a barrister 20 years ago. He had some high-profile cases. He joined a new firm 2 years ago as the prospective head of chambers."
"Which chambers was that?" she says.
"It's called Cooper Strutt Markham."
"That's the same chambers as Richard Fuller, the husband of Mrs. Zoe Fuller."
"So the boyfriend is also the husband's competition to be the big cheese at work."
Cross's phone hums on the table, where it had been lying next to him. He leans over and looks at the screen.
"It's my forensics woman. Hang on."
He answers the call and listens.
"Is it?"
he says.
"Okay."
When he rings off, he turns to Olivia.
"The forensic samples found in this flat are not a match for the husband."
He didn't seem to be a guilty man.
"But they have a 100% match on the wife, Mrs. Fuller. It looks like she killed him." If you'll excuse me, we need to seal this crime scene and go and make an arrest.
Olivia and Poppy are ushered out of the flat, and they travel back to Islington in their MG Midget. As they are stepping out of the sports car, Poppy suddenly says,
"Mum, look, the woman from flat 4 again, lurking about outside the house. She's seen us."
"Stop her leaving, Poppy." The teenager runs. The woman turns and again accelerates down the street, but Sergeant Cross and Constable Dundridge arrive in the road. From their police car, they can see what is happening. Dundridge runs out and gets hold of the woman. "This is the woman we spoke about, Sergeant," says Olivia.
"Let's all go inside and sort this out,"
he says, and he leads them to the Fuller's home and raps loudly on the brass door knocker.
"Can we come inside, sir?"
"Of course," says Richard.
"What is all this, officer?"
Zoe appears from the lounge.
"What are you doing here, Charlotte?"
she says, looking at the woman from flat 4. "You know her," says Olivia.
"She's Richard's assistant,"
says Zoe.
"Mrs. Fuller," begins Cross, "we're going to have to take you down the station, as we have evidence connecting you to the murder of Mr. Martin Bishop."
"Who?" says Zoe. Olivia has been watching the interaction between Richard and the woman in flat 4, now known to be his assistant Charlotte. "Sergeant," says Olivia, "if I may suggest an alternative for your forensics team to explore, that Mrs. Fuller's DNA from the flat was in fact planted to incriminate her."
"That's ridiculous,"
says Charlotte. "Planted to incriminate the boss's wife and get her out of the way in prison. Is that what happened, Charlotte?" says Olivia. "So you can continue your affair with Richard and clear his route to be the next head of chambers."
"It was all my idea,"
says Richard.
"Charlotte's innocent. She just did as I told her."
There's dead air for a second, and Olivia turns to Sergeant Cross. "Sergeant, I think you just heard a confession of conspiracy to murder." The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday.